Once again, talking to Björn, this time about the Night Flight Orchestra with a new album coming out soon. Björn, thanks for taking my call.
Well, thanks for having me.
Once again, it's good to have you on.
Yeah.
Last time I spoke to you, right when Sometimes the World Ain't Enough was just about to come out. How did that album go for you?
Very well, I would say. We did our second full European tour, and the numbers were definitely growing. What we noticed in the crowd was that it was way more sort of mixed crowd, because on the first tour that we did, first headline tour through Europe that we did, it was mostly sort of, Soilwork, Arch Enemy fans being a little bit curious about our project together. And the one we did for Sometimes the World Ain't Enough was bigger crowds and very mixed, and even people who never heard about Soilwork or Arch Enemy, which was really cool. It was very interesting. And I think we brought out people that normally wouldn't go to the same shows. And it was everything from prog dads to teenage girls knowing every word, standing in the front row, and to I don't know, hipsters to rockers to it was a very interesting mix of people. So I guess this band has a little bit of a uniting factor in that sense, which is brilliant, I would say. So things have been growing quite a bit, and the previous album got a lot of good response, and it seems like this new one is getting a lot of it too. So we're very excited for sure.
Yeah, and so you should be. I heard it for the first time last night and had a smile on my face from start to finish. It's one of those sorts of albums. I think I did the same thing with the last one.
Cool.
Had anything changed this time around? Are you going through the same process for recording? Well, firstly, for starters, I'm still amazed that you find the time in amongst Soilwork and anyone else's projects, main bands, if you like, to find the time to even write this music. You're getting it down. You're touring as well. How do you find the time, and how did you go with it this time around?
Well, last year was very hectic, and somehow we managed to get it all together. And but what we've done, or what we're going to do for this album, is that we're separating the two bands' sort of album cycles and touring cycles, because we can't really do everything at the same time, because now there's a lot more demand for touring with the Night Flight Orchestra as well, so it's so this year is going to be pretty much about the Night Flight Orchestra. We're going to do a few shows with Soilwork here and there, but no like full tours. So I think that's good for everybody involved in the end, because both me and David are in both bands as well. So pretty cool how this band has grown, a lot the latest years. So yeah, but then again, it's the inspiration is always flowing, so it's quite easy, once you're home and off tour. It's I like to just write songs, and it's a labor of love in that sense. But yeah, there are times when it can get a little hectic. Like last summer, we did 3 festivals with both of the bands on the same day, with just 1 hour in between. That was pretty weird.
Believe it or not, I did know that, because I was following the lineup of these tours, and I put a question in my mind then, and it's coming at you right now, is that at any time during those performances, did you just have to stop for a minute and think which stage you were on?
Well, not really. I expected it to be once we were there, before coming to the festival, I was like, what am I doing? This is crazy, and I was concerned about the voice, and then we did the Night Flight show, and that was good. And then we had, 1 hour in between, and then we went on stage with Soilwork, and I was a little bit worried, but I was singing a lot better with Soilwork, I felt, than I normally would, and it's like, wow. There's maybe I should start warming up. It's like 20 years later, but it worked out really well, and the voice was fine. And I don't know. I guess I found myself, laughing a little bit, just being on stage with Soilwork, and I was like, I can't believe I just came out of a suit and a beret, and then up here with my metal vest on, and it was quite a kick actually in the end. And yeah, I guess some people in the crowd, I don't even know if they sort of, maybe some people didn't even know that it was the same guy, or I don't know. It's hard to say.
Right, let's talk about this new album coming out basically in the next day or so, actually. Let's talk about that. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I think it's a continuation, a natural continuation of the previous one, even though I think we're breaking the boundaries even more. And this new album it's a bit more focused, I would say, and it's very diverse. It's an album where you could take out, let's say 2 songs, like, Servants of the Air and Transmissions as an example, and if you show that to a random person, they wouldn't believe it's from the same band or the same album even. So and I think that's the beauty of it, and when you listen to the album, it's very diverse, but it's somehow really connects, and it definitely takes you on a journey, just like our other albums, but maybe even more this time, and it's super melodic, super euphoric, and melancholic as well. And I think we found a balance more than ever, with those 2 sort of elements, if you will. And so I think it's definitely filling a void in the music scene, and I felt that also with the previous 2, but especially this one. It's something, there's not many bands that sort of captured this vibe out there, and if I want to go a little bit pretentious for a second, I would call it very cinematic. It's like a lot of people put sort of the AOR label on us, but it's I mean, what is AOR today? I don't even know, because that's like a term from the 70s and 80s, and yeah, I don't know. To me, it sounds like we're playing cinematic rock because it generates so many pictures listening to this music, and yeah, there's a lot of escapism running through it, both lyrically and also musically.
Cinematic rock, that sits well with me.
All right, okay, cool. Yeah.
I did pick up, now this is going to sound weird, I did sort of pick up a slightly different vibe with this album than the previous one, but if you try and pin me down on why, I can't answer why. I don't know how or why, but it just seemed to have a slightly different vibe about it.
Yeah, it might have. I mean, I don't know if we've done anything special. I mean, we constantly develop our sound, and I don't know. Maybe it's slightly more atmospheric. We've been working a lot with the keyboards as well, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like you mentioned, it's hard to sort of put your finger on exactly what it is, but we like it to be different for each album, of course. But yeah.
Maybe it was the background vocals.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It might be. I mean, the Annas did more vocals on this new album than they did on the previous one.
The Annas.
Yeah, the airline Annas, yes.
Right, so when's this tour kick off? You're kicking it off straight away? And where are you playing?
So we're doing the European tour starting next Friday in London. So that's going to run for 3.5 weeks. And then we have a bunch of dates in Scandinavia, and then a lot of summer festivals in Europe. So it's going to be a pretty busy schedule, but it's going to be, we're really excited about it. It's going to be exciting to do these songs live as well from the new album.
Is it much of a logistical nightmare getting, like you've taken a break from Night Flight Orchestra and Soilwork album cycles, you mentioned like different now. What about the other guys? Have we had to shuffle things around with their cycles? Have we had to rearrange their cycles? That sounds so wrong.
Yeah. No. I get it. I mean, it's for Charlie, it's been a little bit of a nightmare, because they're touring even more than Soilwork does, with Arch Enemy. So, but we've had a stand-in because we knew this from the beginning that Charlie was not going to be able to take time off with Arch Enemy very often. So we've had Rasmus Ehrenborn, who's been filling in on bass and who's also playing with Soilwork. So that's been working out pretty well. But of course, we want Charlie to be with us as much as possible, and so does he. He loves this band, and want to do as much as he can. But now he has time off, thankfully, with Arch Enemies, so he can do all of the shows that we have planned so far for this album. So I think that's the hardest part, getting Charlie, to do the shows. But yeah, so it's the full lineup. Yeah.
Any stories behind any of the particular songs on the album you want to tell us about?
Well, I could bring up This Boy's Last Summer as an example. It sort of captures me being, going to elementary school and having, the summer break, and 2 weeks into the summer break, I start getting a little bit melancholic and depressed and thinking, oh my God, we're 2 weeks into summer break, soon at school again, and instead of enjoying the moment and enjoying the summer, I was just counting the days until, school started again. So and I've learned a lot since then to sort of, enjoy the moment instead of thinking what's next, and so that tells the sort of melancholic story from these days in that song.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Björn, or?
Divinals. And people have asked me if it has any connection to the Australian band, and it actually does.
It does? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does. So here's the story. I wrote that song one day at my parents', and I had just watched some Divinals on YouTube, and because my favorite clip on YouTube is their performance of Boys in Town from Us Festival 1983.
Yep.
And that's been sort of like something that we always played on our pre-show parties on the bus, because we love that performance. It's just magical. And somehow that song popped up in my head that day, and that's when I wrote Divinals. I mean, Divinals doesn't sound like Boys in Town, but I don't know. I wanted to capture the vibe in that song, and I wrote that song in like 2 hours. And so I guess you could say that it is a little bit of a tribute, and it was actually just a working name. I called it Divinals because that was the vibe I was going for that day, because I love that band so much, and we decided to stick with it, because once we came to the song was finished, we were gonna mix it and get the master done, and it's like should we call it something else? Like no, it should be Divinals. So that's how that came about. So yeah,
I actually saw the Divinals right when that song very first came out.
Oh, nice.
It had only just hit the radio, and I saw them in this little hotel here, and they got called back for an encore, and I don't know if they had too much material, but they played that song again.
That's amazing, and it's like a hotel tour. That's exactly what I would like to do in Australia with the Night Flight Orchestra. I guess it's not really the same sort of culture with the hotels these days as it used to be, but I think that would be a cool setting for this band to do.
That's the way to do it. Aussie pub rock.
Yes, love it.
Hey, just finished chatting to Björn from the Night Flight Orchestra, talking about their new album Aeromantic, coming out right now. And Björn, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.